Am I the asshole for agreeing with my friend's parenting? I 20, F. Have a friend Mary 29, F. Mary has 2 kids daughters Chris, 13, and Anne, 11. Mary and her husband try to keep their kids in a healthy lifestyle. However, recently Chris has developed a weight issue. Her blood pressure is way too high and she's at risk for a lot of serious health issues. They decided it was best to put Chris on a diet. They allow her some cheats but they're strict with those. Chris was excited, she's pretty sad about her weight gain. Nothing super severe, she's still an upbeat kid but it definitely affected her. She knows the risk she's at and wants to change but it has not been easy. They went to the beach recently and Anne was noticeably a bit grumpy so Mary suggested they stop for pizza. It was Chris's cheat day so each had a slice. Anne noticed there was a small ice cream place next door. Mary told me she thought about it but since Chris had already had a slice of pizza and some soda they needed to cut it off. She didn't want Anne to get ice cream when Chris couldn't have any and eat it right in front of her. Anne knew why Mary had denied her, said, "I'm not fat so why am I being punished when it's Chris's problem? I could have it if it wasn't for her." Chris got pretty upset. She also wanted ice cream so talking about it was rough. Plus her sister calling her fat was very hurtful. Mary and her husband had a talk basically explaining that Anne had to support her sister, that losing weight was very important for Chris. Anne understood and apologized to her sister. All was sorted but Mary's husband started having second thoughts. He thought maybe they should have let Anne have the ice cream since people are always going to be eating unhealthy around Chris and she needs to learn restraint. Mary started feeling a bit conflicted too but after talking they decided to stick with the decision. However, our friend group has been arguing with Mary that it's fatphobic. I defended Mary and one got really angry saying whenever I go out with them I get the worst food. This is true, I have a poor diet despite being skinny but I do try and be considerate when I'm eating out with someone on a diet but none of Mary and I's friends are on one. I also stress that all of them are adults, Chris is a child. Me eating ice cream in front of 22-year-old woman who might be thinking about a diet is way different than eating ice cream in front of a 13-year-old girl on a diet, which I think is torture. She got rather upset and left. The friend wants an apology but I feel like I shouldn't. Despite how rude I felt she was, I never even raised my voice or was snide so I feel any apology should be directed at me. Mary's rather upset, I know she wants what's best for her girls. She asked me to look for more opinions. So is what we're doing wrong here? I feel like our friends pushing Mary into a decision and they think the same, that I'm acting like an asshole for further alienating Mary into her bad decision. Am I the asshole? Edit. Hey guys, thanks for all the advice. I talked to Mary this morning, she saw your comments and she's very grateful. She had already been looking into a nutritionist which I was unaware of. They're very excited to see him this week. She's considering changing the diet plan if he recommends so. While Chris is happy with it after reading your comments, she is worried about it negatively affecting her relationship with food. It'll definitely be taken into consideration. I was also unaware they are in therapy and have been for a while, which was definitely good to hear. Anne is doing better with how she feels about this. She's starting to blame Chris less for the changes to the family's eating habits and see it more as a positive change for all of them. They're gonna coordinate better with the treats so Anne and Chris can have them around the same time, etc. Obviously they'll still have issues with this, kids and siblings are. Well, kids and siblings, but they all love and support each other very much so I'm confident in their future. As for our friends, they are up in the air. They've been more rude than helpful. The one that yelled at me earlier texted me calling me a skinny bitch who needs to eat a sandwich unprompted at one point, which was exactly the opposite of trying to help good eating habits. I have definitely cut her out. I know they've had good intentions as you all have, but they all made Mary very upset and saddened deeply. While she was able to read all your comments, disappointed she could be doing her daughters wrong, but happy about being able to be more informed and do better. Her friendship with them is shaky for the foreseeable future. As for Chris and Anne, I really hope things go well for them. They just finished up school for the year and are getting vaccinated soon when Anne turns 12, so they're stoked to have lots of summer fun. I'll post an update at some point to let you know how it all goes, but I have hope. Oh, I also wanted to state my now known ignorance about diets and their differences. I had read up on them before this event, but I will admit I was unaware they could range in approach so drastically to either be positive or extremely negative. I was not aware of the terminology at all. I understand I didn't convey a lot of info about the family's active life and what exactly the diet meant for Chris. Part of that was the word count limit. I had originally typed 9,000 plus characters into here until I realized I could only use 3,000. So if you're just reading this post and a little confused about certain aspects, a lot that I have answered in the comments, you can also ask me. I'm happy to answer and elaborations needed here. Thanks. I think putting a 13-year-old on a strict diet is horrible and setting her up for a world of hurt in the future. Especially since it seems like her whole family has a crap relationship with food and are just lucky their metabolisms can take it. Everyone sucks here. There are a million ways to help this girl. And maybe a start would be not basing a whole day out around the foods they eat. And not looking at a slice of pizza as a cheat. You are the asshole. This is not an appropriate way to deal with this. The diet should be carefully monitored by medical professionals, and soda and a slice of pizza is hardly some terrible cheat day. The 13-year-old being on a diet should not affect the 11-year-old, but a better approach would be for the whole family to make some healthier changes, like sugar-free soda, healthier dinners, homemade healthier treats, to improve all their health and aid the 13-year-old's weight loss, not telling a child they can't have ice cream at the beach because of a diet. Seriously, some ice cream and a slice of pizza isn't going to make anyone gain weight if it's a part of a healthy, balanced diet. This is not healthy for either of the girls and is setting them up for a poor relationship with food. Info. Is this diet recommended and observed by trained medical professionals? They're setting their kids up for all sorts of shit. A strict diet on a 13-year-old worries me about EDS when they're older, and not allowing one daughter something because of the other sets up for resentment. I think they need to find a better way. You don't put kids on diets. Look what a damn ice cream cone caused. Now Chris will believe that some ice cream will make her gain, while Anne will have to sneak in food that she enjoys behind the parents' back. Everyone needs to stop glorifying this diet and talk to a nutritionist. A slice of pizza isn't a cheat day. A slice of pizza and some ice cream can be incorporated in a diet without throwing everything off. Are you all trying to give them eating disorders? Not the asshole for defending your friend, she just wants what's best for her daughter and her health. I will suggest that you get your friend to take her daughter to a qualified nutrientist. They would be the best to help her, rather than being on a diet. You are the asshole, the parents. They are going at this the wrong way since they're pushing a 13-year-old on a diet which is then affecting the 11-year-old. If this keeps going, each of the children will most likely have resentment to each other. Hey, so I'm seeing a ton of comments saying how putting Chris on a diet, especially a strict one, is a slope that won't teach her good habits and possibly give her an eating disorder. That is definitely not what I or her family want. I did do research prior to giving my opinion to Mary, and all the articles recommended dieting and teaching strict habits soon so kids keo them in adulthood. So I'm wondering if I read the wrong articles? My mother suggested it too, but she's incredibly old-fashioned. Can anyone elaborate further on why the diet idea is so bad? I'm not sure how attached Mary is to a diet. Now her main goal is Chris's health and happiness. Thank you guys so much. I'll make sure she reads all of these comments. Not the asshole. Also not fat phobic. Getting kids to eat healthy is a responsibility parents have, and you were supporting good parenting. Am I the asshole hosting a party during a wedding and refusing to compensate for pictures? I just visited my mother and family after not seeing them for a couple years, and I brought my boyfriend so he could finally meet the rest of my family. My parents live in a relatively undeveloped area. It's their house, and the field across from the house is part of the property they rent, another house a ways behind hers, and then a large chateau-type house on the corner that has been turned into a restaurant. It's a popular event venue, like weddings which are usually outdoors, so from my mother's house you can see and hear basically everything during these outdoor events. You can also see and hear what is going on in my mother's front yard, the field across the street, and part of the backyard from the party area of the restaurant. To celebrate my visit, my mother and I hosted a family get-together, and we can be loud, think lots of kids, music, family talking, cooking out, games, stuff like that. There were only 2 days during my visit that we could have had this get-together, and the day we picked, it turns out a wedding was being hosted at the restaurant. While we started setting up in the morning, the staff was setting up the tents for that. To start, the wedding party was upset we were not letting their guests park in the field until my mother called her landlady and had her explain to the groom's parents that the field was private property and not for restaurant use, only for use by my parents and their guests. So we told them where to park, farther down the street like all of my relatives and friends. We did try to be quiet during the actual ceremony, and moved across to the field for some games and play. When it appeared that the ceremony part was over, we started to spread out again and play our music. Here's where I may be the awe. A few times guests or the wedding party and videographer came over to tell us that not only could they hear us during the ceremony and reception, but they were catching glimpses of us on their videos and pictures during the ceremony and after. Eventually the bride and groom came over and told us to be quiet because we were ruining their wedding that they paid a lot of money for. They also told us they expected us to compensate them for part of the price of their video, picture package because they were told we were in the background. I told them no, that while I understood it was an important day for them, if they wanted privacy and quiet then they shouldn't have had their wedding someplace with houses around, and that today was also an important day for me and my family and we weren't going to be quiet and hamper our fun for their sake. I didn't think I had done anything wrong, but once we returned home and told friends and boyfriend's family about the trip, a lot of them are saying we should have just had our party inside or rescheduled for another day. Am I the asshole for hosting our party? ETA. For everyone asking or messaging about the noise level, we weren't being obnoxiously loud or overly loud. Normal, outdoor gathering noise levels, and our music was a bit quieter than theirs. As they could hear us in our yard, we were able to hear everything about their wedding as well. Our noise levels were equal. It wasn't just the ceremony part they complained about, but the reception as well. Not the asshole. It's not your fault that the wedding venue is located so closely to your house. If anything, the business is bothering you, not the other way around. They have no right to tell you what to do and what not to do in your own home, and you cannot schedule your life around strangers' parties. Not the asshole, and the owner of the restaurant is the asshole for not letting the bridal party know what was and was not included in their rental, usage of the property. Not the asshole. So they decided to have their wedding outside near houses? I'm assuming they went to the venue before booking it? And they just expected anyone living in the homes around the venue to not have anything going on outside their own homes for the duration on their wedding with no notice? Your parents are entitled to have gatherings in the yard as they see fit. If the couple getting married had a problem with people having gatherings by their venue, they shouldn't have picked one where people's homes were so close by. Not the asshole. Timing of the two events was unfortunate. It seems that you tried your best to be neighborly and manage noise during the ceremony. You do not owe the wedding party compensation. A good videographer can edit out background noise. Not the asshole. Fuck 'em. Photoshop exists if the wedding pictures having some random people in the distance is so offensive. Not the asshole. I can't even. Other people are allowed to exist. Not the asshole. It sucks for them that this happened, but that's what the wedding venue they chose, and you're not required to cancel your party or stop it because they're there. Not the asshole. The restaurant wanted to use your property for parking and hasn't invested in reasonable fences for privacy. That would be their problem. Do you complain about the nosy from the weddings, the receptions, etc.? Being good neighbors goes both ways. I might have tried to calm things down a bit during the ceremony as you did, but they can make you sit in silence at home. Am I the asshole for shaming my mother-in-law in front of the whole family for spreading lies about me? My husband and I don't want kids. He had gotten a vasectomy even before I dated him, and I wanted to be child-free, so we both knew it's never going to happen. She didn't know that my husband has gotten a vasectomy and believes that it's me who is not giving her grandchildren, so she hated me. When I got married, she wrote this whole letter about how she can't wait for us to be parents and read it out loud during our reception. She would cry on the phone with my sister-in-law about how I'm the worst thing that has ever happened to her. She would make racist Facebook posts targeted at me because I'm Asian and my husband is white. There have been times she would introduce my husband to different women when he's already married to me and would tell him that he deserves better. 3 days ago I was at a family gathering. I never really attend family gatherings because my mother-in-law is present there, but it had been a long time since I've met his family. When I was just talking to my husband's aunt, she casually says, "I'm sorry that can't experience motherhood. How does my husband's name feel about it?" I asked her what it was she talking about. She tells me that my mother-in-law has been going around telling everyone in the family group chat that I'm infertile. I honestly lost my mind. I went up to my mother-in-law and asked her about it. She told me that she didn't wanted to tell everyone that my husband is less of a man because he got a vasectomy done and thought it was better to tell everyone I was infertile. I started to scream at her. Everybody in the room kinda started telling me that I shouldn't be ashamed because I am infertile. They thought I was shifting the blame on my husband when I'm infertile, and I revealed the truth because I was not infertile. I told everyone about how my mother-in-law was spreading lies because she didn't want her son to be less of a man. I told everyone about her introducing my husband to different women because she wanted to replace me and is openly racist towards me. My brother-in-law calmed me down because I was bawling my eyes out and called my husband, asking him to come home. My husband came home, his mother was crying and telling him that I ruined her reputation. She tells him how I'm trying to make him hate her. My husband took my side. He told her that it was the last time he would be stepping into the house and he is going to cut ties with her. We left the house. My husband thinks that I did the right thing, standing up for myself. I've been getting text messages from his relatives about how I broke a mother and son's relationship. My mother-in-law is making posts about me on Facebook. I know I could have handled it better, but am I the asshole? Edit. I would like to clear up 2 things because I'm being asked about it. 1. When my mother-in-law gave the speech during my reception, that's when my husband told her about his vasectomy. 2. My husband didn't attend the gathering with me because the next day was my birthday and he was planning a surprise for me. 3. Some people pointed it out that I shouldn't have lashed out at a family gathering, which is absolutely right. I feel bad for it and I know I could have handled it better. Thank you so much for the replies. Not the asshole. Seems that the mother has an unhealthy obsession with grandchildren and is a bit of an unpleasant person. I would recommend adoption for her as she really wants children. Not the asshole, and kudos to your husband for standing up to his family for you. Maybe your mother-in-law will learn her lesson someday, but it seems she is not willing to. You have to keep yourselves safe from such shockingly negative influences. She played the stupid game, she won the stupid jackpot. It's great your hubby is being supportive. He doesn't think you are the asshole here, and neither do we. Look, your mother-in-law lied and schemed and connived against you, and she is reaping what she sowed. Stand tall. I'm sorry you had to go through that, but you can now cut her out of your day-to-day life, and it will be all the better for it. NTA. It's ridiculous that your husband didn't stand up to her soon, but I guess better late than never. You did the right thing by defending yourself and exposing her. NYA. God, that entire time I was wondering, why the fuck hasn't your husband put his foot down? But at least he stood up for you in the end. Not the asshole at all. She's just shocked she finally met consequences for her actions. Also, since it didn't seem to be mentioned yet, I would check out Just No Mill. Not the asshole, 1,000 times not the asshole. Not the asshole. You can't win. Walk away and be happy. Am I the asshole for how I gave feedback on both my daughter's scripts? I am a scriptwriter. I write scripts for both movies and TV shows. I'm decently successful. I have 2 daughters who both also want to become involved in the film industry. They are 15 and 16. And #X200B. I've always encouraged them to practice writing and scripting by creating alternate storylines or endings for existing shows. It's a great way to practice, and it's always been fun for them to put their own spin on worlds that are already established. And #X200B. Recently, my older daughter decided that she wanted to start writing her own show, which I thought would be great. Younger one also thought it'd be fun, so they both started work on their own individual projects. And #X200B. My older daughter began work on 2 projects. One was a show about a counter-terrorism ghost team, and the other, as silly as it sounds, was about an academy where people with superpowers train. Her main focus was on her little superhero academy thing. And #X200B. My younger one saw her sister's idea, and decided on also doing the same thing, because it sounded interesting. And #X200B. They both wanted to show their scripts to me and get feedback, at some point down the road, and I said I'd be happy to. And #X200B. My younger daughter didn't write any sort of planning document and immediately started writing her scripts. She wrote 6 episodes, which is pretty good. However, her story was, in my opinion, quite poor. She wrote several characters, all of whom lacked depth or personality. None of them had any identifiable personality traits, like being arrogant, or ambitious. They all just seemed to say whatever that episode's plot needed them to say. There is no overarching plot, and each episode is completely independent. No visible character growth over the 6 episodes she wrote. It reminded me of those Disney Channel shows which are made for kids, like Jessie, or Liv and Maddie. Except, it was meant to be a very mature show. The content seemed childish and repetitive. Meanwhile, the language used seemed aimed towards older teens. And #X200B. My older daughter, firstly wrote a planning document, and also managed to write 5 episodes for her first season. She's managed to plan arcs for her characters all the way till her 4th season. I told her to make sure she's not getting ahead of herself, but she's got a skeleton structure for seasons 1–3 as well. Her story seems interesting, and I can already look at each character feel like they're individuals. They all have different personalities and I can already see that some of them have begun their arcs. There's also a ton of foreshadowing. And #X200B. I told both my daughter what I thought of their work separately. I did my best to be polite and kind with younger daughter, but there was just so much wrong with the show that it may well have felt like I was nitpicking. And #X200B. I told my older daughter and praised her about how good her show was, but younger was snooping and eavesdropped. She blew a fuse and started crying about favoritism. And #X200B. Am I the asshole for my feedback on their shows? INFO, are you aware that she is, in fact, just a child looking for her parents' approval? You are the asshole. YTA. Just because this post rubbed me the wrong way. IDK dude. You just seem a bit like one of those dads who never let their children win. I'm waiting to see your redemption arc. You are the asshole. She's a kid just getting started, not a professional writer. Give her tips on how to improve and help her through the writing process. Don't crush her dreams, especially if it's something she's proud of. Almost everyone at that age isn't a good writer. Did you tell her what was working well? There is an art to giving encouraging feedback, and you don't quite have it here expecting professional work of a 15-year-old. You are the asshole. You are the asshole. Your relationship with these people is primarily parent-child, not employer-employee. Your primary job is to encourage, and while providing feedback was fine, by the sounds of it you could have phrased your criticism more sensitively. The world will critique your daughters. There's no shortage of people who will confront them with their failings. Whatever they do in life, whether they succeed or fail, they need to know that their parents think they're awesome. That confidence is one of the best things you can give your children. The other, as silly as it sounds, was about an academy where people with superpowers train. I can't tell if you're joking. Are you joking? Sure, that happens. A grown successful adult professionally critiqued her children fan fictions and asked random strangers for parenting advice. You are the asshole. I'm a teacher, you should always give more positive notes than negative. Make sure you tell her the things she did well too. Info. Were they looking for feedback in regards to your expertise as a scriptwriter, or just wanted to see what Dad thought?